welcome to another episode of Home Sweet Home. My name is Ron McCall.
And I'm Scott Nichols.
What's up?
Just another day in paradise.
Yeah. Palm trees are swaying.
Where are you?
The music playing in the background.
You're not in Hawaii
yet. Oh,
you're not in Hawaii yet.
Okay, well, crap. Hey, but that's paradise, right? I mean, paradise is...
Yes, that in Florida.
Florida. Well, again, palm trees and sand and great music and a drink with an umbrella. I mean, that's paradise.
See, but now you're making me realize that I'm not there. I'm in North Dallas.
Oh.
And that's not paradise. It's nice.
Oh.
But it's not paradise.
So you were being facetious. You weren't being honest.
Yeah, I mean... You know,
okay.
When somebody asks you how you're doing, you know, what's going on, you never really give them the truth, right?
Yeah. No, that's true. I usually, somebody asks, hey, how you doing? I go, better than average.
Yeah. And, so that's good.
Well, I mean, so yeah, if you want to borrow that, better than average. Or fair to partly cloudy.
I think that works.
Fair to partly sunny.
I'm going to borrow jackwagon.
Jackwagon. Okay. Hey, you know what? I have a laundry list of rodisms.
I mean, that's not truly just yours. I mean,
no.
You just borrowed it.
I did borrow it, and I will say that it saves me from using a lot of language that might get me into further trouble.
Yes, I bet it does.
So anything new and exciting going on with you?
Not really. Just looking forward to another weekend.
Yeah, I think it's what, Monday through Friday, you look forward to Friday night, Saturday night, and then Sunday night, you dread Monday morning.
Yeah.
And you go through that.
I like to try to figure out what I'm going to do, me and my wife on the weekend, and,
Okay.
So.
Well, you got some time to figure that out.
Yeah.
I mean, there's always time to figure stuff out. So, I mean, at least you got plans.
Until there isn't.
Well, until there isn't. That is true. And hopefully that time is a long time away from now.
Hopefully. But when it comes, I won't care.
No, that's true.
If I'm the one who's no longer here.
True. But until then, I guess it's important to kind of, enjoy it.
It is.
Life is to be enjoyed. I don't know if everybody agrees with me on that, but I think it is. And the more you can enjoy it, I think the happier you are.
So what are we going to talk about?
Well, I've been looking through a bunch of different stuff.
Okay.
And I ran into something that popped up on my newsfeed a while back. And I thought, man, this is pretty good stuff. Okay. And so I'm thinking about, the article was talking about relationships, and I don't know, it's not really new stuff, okay. But sometimes it's not earth shattering or anything, but I think sometimes when you hear it, you may hear it again and again, but different times you hear it differently.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So when I read through this, I thought, wow. And it was talking about how to keep your relationship fresh.
Okay.
And I was watching an episode of 911. I don't know if you ever watched that on ABC, but it's a fire department show, LAFD. Anyway.
Okay.
And in there, one of the characters was talking about, well, him and his fiance, they've been dating and they had a baby together, but it was getting kind of dull and boring, and they were taking each other for granted, and they were talking about, well, we're going to start dating ourselves forever. And then by the end of the episode, they realized, yeah, you can't really date yourself forever.
Date yourself?
Well, okay, sorry. Maybe I said
date each other?
Yes. Okay. They were going to be dating each other.
Okay.
And so when you're trying to date each other, well, that works. But after a while, you're no longer dating because you know each other.
Sure.
And so this particular article was talking about how to keep a relationship from getting to be well, you're just that old married couple.
Okay.
And having gone down that you're an old married couple path once before, and well, the outcome wasn't very happy. I thought, well, maybe we could explore and kind of talk about some of these things. And I mean, crying out loud, you're an old married couple with 31 plus years of marriage. And, you know, my mom and dad, they celebrated, well, right before my dad passed. Wow, it's been almost a year since my dad passed away. But they were 62 years. How do you keep that spark alive?
Man, I've only made it halfway.
Oh, well, but you're halfway there.
Yeah.
And so
by the way, I don't like to think of us as an old married couple, but yes, we have been married for a extended amount of time. But that's, you know, I don't know that makes us old married people. We're not old yet.
How old is old?
Much older than me. And so it's a moving target.
Oh.
Because, you know, my age now, I used to think was old.
Okay.
And now I'm here and I'm like, I still feel like I'm 20. You know, in some ways, obviously not in my body. But in my mind, you know, I still feel very much the same. So I don't know that ever changes.
Okay. Well, my body lets me know that it says, McCall, okay, just because you think you are able to do it, I'm going to tell you, you can't.
Yeah. I mean, I feel that often. But I don't think of us as an old married couple. And maybe that's because, you know, we have had some success in kind of keeping the spark alive.
Okay.
Right. I mean, we do just some things. I mean, date night. I know that, you know, your show suggests that you can't necessarily date because you know each other so well. But I think that makes it easier. Right.
Okay.
To date. I think because I do know my wife so well, I know what she likes. And it makes it very simple for me to think of something that we could do together, either whether it's out or whether it's in, you know, like a dinner she might like, a restaurant she likes to go to, and just kind of surprise her with something, you know, and especially if she's having a difficult time, you know, having a tough time at her job or just a difficult time in life. I mean, for crying out loud, I took my wife to Disneyland.
That's
right.
true.
I mean, she had her father passed away, and she needed a little bit of time to just do something that was away from here and different. And we went to Disneyland, and you know, we enjoyed that.
By the way, Disneyland is not a sponsor of the show. There you go. So,
sure, but I don't think they care if we mention that I went to Disneyland.
I think that you are right. And that's kind of, I think, where the show, boy, my mind is really going somewhere off the reservation today. But what I liked about this article is it fits exactly with what you're saying.
Okay.
That you don't, to do the little things to keep things going. And I like the way you said, well, we're not really an old married couple. And I think an old married couple, well, you get in that rut. And you don't do little things and it doesn't have to be big stuff. I mean, okay, I would say going to Disneyland would be a big thing if I remember right, that was a 3-day weekend.
It was. And, you know, yeah, it's not cheap. Obviously, I'm not going to Disneyland every weekend. But, you know, going to a restaurant's not such a big deal for a lot of people.
Sure. And that's what they're saying here. And it reminded me, as I was reading through this, and tying in with what you had just said, relationships are like a bank account. And I've said this before because I really do believe it to be true. When you have a healthy bank account, it's because you've made a lot of deposits. And your deposits your deposits are much greater than your withdrawals.
Sure.
And in a relationship, well, it's the same kind of thing. You got to do things to build up or keep that deposit higher than your withdrawals.
Yes.
And I will admit, when I was married to Eric's mom, we didn't do very much to put enough deposits in that account. And so as a result, when we started hitting bumpy patches, because every relationship hits bumpy patches, after a while, we were overdrawn.
Yeah.
And when you get too overdrawn in a relationship, like any account, well, you wind up having problems. You go bankrupt, and ta-da, things are inside out. Well,
Well, and that's where you get to the point where, one person's saying, you never pay attention to me.
Okay, yeah.
And you're not listening, or you're not doing this, or you're not doing that. And, if you do pay attention, it's pretty easy, right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to reduce relationships to some kind of a task.
Right.
But, it's easy to do things like get up in the morning and make your bed, right? It doesn't take time. Most people don't do it, but it doesn't take a lot of time, and it makes everybody feel good if it's done. And so it's very similar, right? Like if I'm walking through the grocery store and I see flowers, I'm not going to do it every time, but, every once in a while, hey, pick up some flowers, bring them home to my wife. She's going to love it, right? And I know as guys, we're like, we don't care about that stuff. But there are things that we do care about.
Sure.
Right. And we do want attention, and we do, so there's things that the women can do as well. But, my wife does things for me.
Oh, sure. So lots of little things.
Yeah.
She's introduced me to a really nice chocolate company up in Buffalo. They're just a small little mom and pop place.
Okay.
And so she'll order candy from there, and it'll include, stuff for other people, but stuff for me.
Mm-hmm.
Some of the stuff that they sell that is really good. And so, yeah, little things. It could be, hey, I did laundry today. And I put all your shirts. Instead of leaving you to hang up the shirts, I hung up the shirts. Mm-hmm. And I folded your socks, and all these kind of, little things, but it's kind of like, hey, it's no big deal, but yet it's actually a big deal. Because if you go try and find a clean pair of socks and there aren't any, you get a little frustrated.
Yeah.
So she does these things. So yes, and that's what the article is talking about.
Absolutely.
Is that it's little things. To keep a relationship alive, the little things that you can do for each other are little mementos that I love you. You're important to me.
Now, that's an important thing. So that's one thing that in our over 31 years of marriage now, we've committed to, saying that at night.
Mm-hmm.
Like you go to bed, like we say it. It's not a task, right? But we always say it, because you don't ever know,
right,
when the end is. And it's something that I say so often to my wife. I feel like sometimes I'm like, do I say that too much? Like, are you like not believing me now? Because I say it a lot. I'm very much appreciative of my wife, and I feel very lucky to have her in my life, and be a part of her life. And so that's that's not a feeling that a lot of people who've been married that long have.
Sure.
But we've kept it that way throughout time. When we were young in our marriage, we did things where, we made sure that the kids were at grandma's house so that we could have a day out for ourselves, or even a night, an overnight for ourselves, because we felt like we came before the child.
Yeah.
And so the children are important, but without our marriage, right, there's going to be problems.
Sure.
And so you have to somehow fuel that marriage and keep it going at a similar level to when you started. And it's not easy.
It is not.
But there are little things to do that are easy that can make it much easier to do it.
And I think that's where what I liked a lot about this article was it doesn't have to be something big and extravagant.
No.
It can be And, a dozen little things, like you were saying. Heck, going to the grocery store so that she doesn't have to.
Right.
Fixing dinner so she doesn't have to.
Mm-hmm.
We all have our household chores.
Mm-hmm.
You staying up on your household chores. For me, it's taking out the trash. It will be, loading the dishwasher, emptying the dishwasher. It's not to me, it's not a big deal, but for her, it is a nice thing that's just one less thing I don't have to do.
Right. So we're empty nesters now. So we, I don't keep a list of chores, but what I do is if we're in a situation, I'm looking at the house and the floor needs to be swept, I just do it.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And if she sees it, she does it. And so we don't necessarily divide it up, but it's like, I'm not just going to leave it there for somebody else to do it.
Mm-hmm.
So she puts out the trash, or I put out the trash, or I do the dishes, or she does them.
Mm-hmm.
Or, a lot of times if she cooks, I do the dishes. If I cook, she does the dishes. But it's not like we have to discuss it. It's like, it just needs to be done. And so, like, if I see it, I do it.
And I think it is critical. I tried to use my parents as a role model for marriage the first time.
Right.
And I got complacent and I stopped doing little things.
Mm-hmm.
And when I stopped doing little things, she stopped doing little things. And then when I tried to restart it up, well, she wouldn't. And then I started feeling resentful.
Sure.
And so part of why I like this article is some of the suggestions that it made. And again, it wasn't something large, a grandiose thing.
Right.
I would, maybe I'm out there, but I would argue that a weekend trip to Disneyland would be considered maybe grandiose.
I think so.
But a little thing.
Especially since it included a first-class flight.
Ooh, I forgot about that.
Yeah, it was great.
Man, you spared no expense. Well done.
Yeah.
That'll get you kudos and a few mistakes.
It definitely built some capital. Maybe.
Well, good. And that's where they were saying you don't have to do that. Because most people, that's hard to do, especially if you've got children with work, that kind of thing. And so doing little stuff. And one of the first things they talked about with little things would be a surprise.
Yeah.
A little surprise. One of my favorite movies, it's an old one. It's, well, not an old one. It's like, close to 30 years old. Maybe that is old. I don't know. Is there? Okay, good. I was starting to think an early to mid 90s film wasn't that old. Until I started doing anyway.
It's disturbing that it's 30 years ago.
No kidding. Oh. So anyway, it's a Sean Connery film, and it's titled Finding Forrester.
Mm-hmm.
And it's about this older gentleman, Sean Connery, who's a writer, disappeared, got tired of society and life, and disappeared. And he runs into a teenage boy, and they develop a bond of friendship. And Sean Connery says to the boy as he's trying to make a good impression with the girl, he said, well, an unexpected gift at an unexpected time.
Mm-hmm.
And so as I was reading this, I was reminded of that line from the movie. And I thought, how hard. And it kind of ties in with what you were saying about getting her a little thing of flowers.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like one of those big, massive, bouquets. It's just a small little,
sure.
Thing of a few flowers and a short little vase, and ta-da, you just paid $10, but it can make all the difference.
So, I mean, what it's about, right, is it says that it says that you thought of that person.
Yeah.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
You took time out from whatever you were doing, and you thought of them, and you bought them something to give to them. I mean, that's what it says. And it says you're thinking of me.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what they want to know. That's what anybody wants to know, right? I mean, I want to know that. I want to know my wife is thinking about me sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
Right? I don't want to have our relationship just be, well, we leave in the morning. We don't think about each other all day long. We come back and then we fight over what's for dinner or how come the chores aren't done. I mean,
Uh-huh.
that's not a happy that's not a happy marriage. It's not a happy relationship of any sort, right?
No.
So you have to be thinking of the other and doing that kind of a surprise. It just tells them you thought
Hmm.
of me.
Well, and that's kind of what they're saying. And sometimes it could be like, it could be a time. Like you were saying, you early on, you'd put the kids with grandma and off you would go and you would have that date time.
Hmm.
And that to me is something that I did not do enough.
Hmm.
Now, Sherry and I have spent a lot of time when we would make date night and it would be, we go to a movie.
Yeah.
Maybe it might be dinner and a movie. Um, Depending on, what was available, but we haven't been able to do that much lately just because of the way
Sure.
our life and housing situation has become lately, but it's still things that we will try and do to, okay, we'll include errands, but maybe we'll sometimes include around lunchtime, or we'll go out for breakfast and then go grocery shopping,
Yeah.
or so, just different little things. But it's time we spend together. I mean, we've even done stuff where we'll go places, and while we're doing that, I'll make her listen to the podcast.
Oh, you shouldn't do that. Don't make her do anything. I mean, the last thing you want to do is be making her listen to your voice. Do something enjoyable.
Well, okay, fair enough. But it's these little things, so a little bit of a surprise, something to break the monotony, something to break up the regular routine, something small, something little, but again, a surprise
Yeah.
can be really good because again, it's the time that you're investing with each other to look at each other, put the phones away, turn the TV off, and go, what's important to you? How has your day been? I'm really interested. How has your week been?
Hmm. And I think if people do that, I mean, we find that it's really enjoyable to have those discussions and to have, those just those times to be away from all the technology and just reconnect. And the more often you do that, the more healthy your relationship's going to be. I mean, lots of other things get better, if those things are being taken care of. So,
I completely agree. And I go back to, how did my mom and dad make it 62 years?
mhm.
And I think it was a lot of these little things. My dad would always come home during the day for a coffee break if he was in, work. And kind of hard to explain. My dad
Mhm.
worked for a phone company back when people had phones in their houses,
Mhm.
and he would come around and he would fix. And so if he was in the neighborhood, he would do that. Or he would. I mean, we didn't live in a big town, so he could make it home for lunch. Instead of eating out, he would come home, and he and my mom would have lunch together.
Yeah.
And so, even though us kids were all up at school, they were together for lunch.
But he took advantage of the opportunity that was available to him. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Like
Mm-hmm.
maybe your opportunity isn't, being able to be home for lunch, but it is picking up a card,
Mm-hmm.
right? I mean, for a while there, I was picking, and I probably should do this more. I was picking up cards from, a local card store, big name card store,
Mm-hmm.
I won't say.
Hold on.
And so, but you could get like little cards, right? And so I got like a bunch of little cards, and I just would every once in a while write a note in it,
Thinking of you.
stick it in her jacket, or put it, with her lunch or whatever, and
That's a clever idea.
just letting her know. I mean, it's small, right? But it's huge to her.
Yeah, because it goes back to, I'm thinking of you. You're important enough that I'm going to surprise you. And again, it goes back to that surprise thing.
And it's enjoyable to do that because, more than likely she's going to come back and be like, oh, thank you,
Mm-hmm.
for that.
So another thing that they talked about, to tie right in with what you're saying, is add a little mystery to your relationship.
Yeah, I'm not very mysterious.
Okay, well, neither am I. I'm like blunt force trauma. But one of the, and here's something that Sherry, I'm bad at a mystery.
Mm-hmm.
She'll plan something, a surprise, and I'll be, well, where are we going? Well, are we going north, south, east, west? Well, how far is it from here?
Yeah.
And I would play like 20 questions with her.
I'd be throwing you out of the car.
Well, I think she's gotten pretty close a few times. And she goes, can you just shut up and enjoy the surprise, the
At your age,
mystery?
you shouldn't be like, are we there yet? Right. I mean, just,
Yeah.
go with the flow, man.
And that's kind of where she's at.
Yeah. I
And,
can see that.
and when you'd think I'd learn.
I
But
definitely agree with you, Sherry.
okay, well, and when I do, when I go, and she berates me, and I go, oh, okay, all right. I actually do find it's more fun.
Yeah.
Because we'll get to wherever it is we're going, and I go, oh my gosh, we're going here. Oh, this is so exciting. What great, whatever it might be. I mean, we did that one time when we went to one of these virtual reality, like an virtual reality arcade place.
Never been to one.
I hadn't either, and it was amazing. I had a ton of fun, but it was a surprise, and I think part of the surprise, so part of the fun, the way great was that surprise.
Yeah.
And so sometimes maybe if we can engage in a little mystery.
Yeah, I mean that's always good. I find that I can maybe do a surprise. My wife is actually very good at mysteries. Like if we can watch a TV show where you have to figure out who done it or something, and in the first probably 35 or 40 seconds she's got it figured out. So she's super good at figuring out mysteries. Me not quite as much, but I mean we all like a little mystery, but I'm not great at that. And she needs a little bit more planning. She's a planner.
Okay, see,
so if I do mystery, like surprise stuff like that on her, it might be a little tough on her. So, I mean, like we went down to San Antonio back in March, and on the way back, my little piece of mystery was we were going to stop in Waco, Texas, at a little place called Magnolia.
Oh, Chip and Joanna.
So, we stopped there, and that was kind of a surprise, for her. So she enjoyed that.
Okay.
So that's probably about as good as I can get.
Well, and that's the thing that they're saying here in the article, is that these little surprises can be an expression, a powerful expression of I love you.
Yeah.
And as you said before, you got to say it. You got to say it in different ways, because I would tell she who shall not be named, Eric's mom, that before, good night, I love you, sweet dreams.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I don't, and she would repeat it back, and I don't know that it was. I think it was more of a citation more than it was a true expression.
Sure, it's just a task.
Yes. And so it was, I try and avoid things like that so that it is more authentic. And that's where these little surprises of a little, I'm thinking of you kind of thing, can be kind of nice.
Yeah. I mean, it's stuff like that is just like it's part of the explanation though. You can say I love you, but if every once in a while you're not saying why you love them, then what does the I love you mean? So adding that in every once in a while, either through a gift or what. I mean, you're not going to buy jewelry every time, right? Like, I'm fortunate that my wife doesn't like jewelry so much. So it, my things that I would do would be flowers or cards or, just doing something for her, or taking her to a place that I know she likes. But the point is, I listen to her and I know something about her, right? So this actually gets easier the longer you know each other, because I know stuff about her that nobody else knows, and I know what she likes now. So it's easier for me to find something that I can do with her that she does like,
okay,
and that she will appreciate. And so, I would argue that the longer you are together, the easier this should be.
If you invest time and effort. Because I'm a firm believer that deeds, not words.
Exactly.
Talk is cheap, so do something rather than just say something.
Yeah.
So that's where they come into how doing these little things, a little surprise, an unexpected gift at an unexpected time, a little bit of mystery, can keep your relationship vibrant.
Exactly.
Keep it from getting dull. Keep it from getting boring, blasé, which when they do that, well, now you take each other for granted. And I think it could lead to wandering eyes. And, next thing you know,
Right.
you're doing things with people you shouldn't be doing. And bada boom, bada bang, hello, divorce court.
Yeah.
And so, and it's not like you get married with divorce in mind. You get married to be with each other until death do you part.
Yeah. I mean, unless you have one of those prenuptial agreements.
Well, but even then it makes me think, well, okay, you're starting with a bad end in mind. But again, that's just me. I've never had that as an issue.
I don't have enough risk. I mean, literally, like financially, I probably have not enough to give to be caring about whether I have a prenuptial agreement.
Well,
if you want to take 50% of my nothing, you can have it.
There you go.
So, I mean, it's not that bad, but
well, there's been times.
Certainly when I was 19 and got married, that was the way it was. Like, I mean, I have a bicycle. If you would like it, I'll cut it in half, and you can have half of it.
Ooh, unicycle.
But yeah.
Well, and that's kind of what they're saying here. You go with the idea that you're in this relationship and you want to see it to its end, and a happy end, not a I hate you kind of end, which is how marriage number one
wants to live that way, right? Nobody wants to live from day to day with somebody that they don't like.
And that's
just not a thing.
No, I totally agree with you. Totally agree. And so that's what I liked about this article, about how you can do little things with words, little things with gestures, little things with deeds, a little surprise, a little mystery to keep the interest going. Keep that person aware that you pay attention to them.
Yeah.
You give them that respect that they're asking for, the same respect we would expect in return, and the idea that I really care about you. I like spending time with you, and you are super important to me. And yeah, we'll do things that you like to do because I'm listening to you.
Yeah.
And so, again, it's hard. Relationships are hard. It's work. It's effort. I've heard you say that before. And having been down the family law tunnel, I did not like it, and I don't recommend it for anybody. And so, if you can do something to head things off at the pass so that your relationship stays fresh, stays interesting, well, I think it'd be worth exploring.
I think so as well.
So, anyway, that kind of runs.
Hey, I mean, I'd like to do something a little different here at the end and say, if you made it this far in the podcast, especially on YouTube, I mean, if you could like and subscribe and comment, I would love to hear comments, or just email us.
Please.
And give us some comments about, like, what are the things that you do to try to keep the spark alive in your relationship, or what are the things that you would hope that somebody else would do for you? I would love to see those kind of comments and allow others to see them as well.
Amen.
Help each other out.
We can keep the conversation going.
Awesome.
All right. Well, I guess then that brings us to an end.
It does.
All right. Well, then I guess we'll go see what we can do to make the ladies in our life a little bit of surprise and magic.
Let's do it.
All right. Well, until next time, I'm Rod.
I'm Scott.
Bye.
Bye-bye.